Alright, so this video is technique for downward facing dog, which is one of the first poses that you get to know in Vinyasa, and there's so much to it, and especially it's empowering you guys to practice at home through video, just some techniques so that mid-flow you're getting the most benefit out of the pose. I'll start in the hands and then move through the body. I want to give a lot of detail, so you could watch this video a couple of times maybe and slowly integrate the information. But yeah, starting with the hands. You want to really send down the fingerprints and the knuckles of the hands. So if someone were to pick me up off the floor mid-downward dog, I'm really doing this. I'm really sending this band of knuckles down because it really activates the palm and creates some strength up through the forearm. Depending on how your body's put together, so there's no one right alignment, I don't think, but give it some experimentation. So some teachers teach hands truly neutral, maybe middle finger pointing out the top of your mat, depending on how the crease of your wrist, you want that to be pretty neutral. So as I put my hands on the floor, I want this crease to line up, which for me, as you can see, I'm slightly more externally rotated. So I tend to put maybe my index finger forward or slightly in between the first two fingers. There's some room to play. So either neutral or slightly externally rotated is fine. Internal rotation is going to tend to roll the shoulders in a scrunchy position, so it's going to work against you. So sending your metacarpals down, either neutral or slightly externally rotated. Your elbows are straight but not locked. I'm hypermobile, so you can see the way my elbows can do really weird, gross things. Some people don't have an issue with that, but there's quite a few of us, females more commonly, but not always, will tend to be hypermobile here. So you want to think about slightly bicepping and feeling that your bones are stacked and not totally locked out. So don't look to dead straighten and lock out your elbows. So straight and locked are two different things. And for me, straight takes some work because if I relax and lock out, I move into a range of motion that can create further instability, and I'm actually not using as much strength. So get to know your hand placement, get to know when your elbows are stacking with gravity, so think of that architecture through your elbow. And then with the hands on the floor, think about the way the upper arm can rotate. So my hands aren't leaving the ground, but this spin is really happening from the action in the humerus, the upper arm bone. And we want to, again, depending on your range of motion, my intention is to externally rotate as much as you can. Some teachers call this wrapping the tricep because the muscle in the back of your arm is wrapping in. Sometimes you'll hear biceps move up, so I'll use either landmark sometimes, but front of your arm's a bicep, back of the arm's a tricep, and you're externally rotating, which helps to open the shoulder away from your ears. You want to create the most space through your skeleton to support the load, whether it's weightlifting overhead or when you get upside down and downward dog, you're basically pressing your own body weight. So setting the shoulder into a nice alignment, wrapping the triceps back, getting those knuckles down on the floor, looking for as much external rotation as comfortable, and try not to jam your elbows. So this seems like a lot, but it'll become a habit. The neck is nice and easy here. And then when we think about getting upside down finally, when we lift into our downward dog, I want to keep that broadness, and there will be a tendency for the shoulders to want to roll in and scrunch into the neck, especially if our range of motion is tight. So on your way up, when we're standing in practice, we have a tendency to roll the palms, roll the biceps up, and that's for a very good reason. That's because it really encourages this external rotation in the shoulders. So even just as an experiment with me now, if you take your arms up just to reach overhead, because downward dog is an overhead position, turn your palms to face each other, roll your biceps to face each other, and so another way to say this is the tricep wrap. You're going to create that space. The only difference between this and dog is the hand gesture, and that's pretty easy to just swivel the palms forward. So if we do it wrong, and we take the arms up and notice how now my fingernails are up to the sky, palms are down, and we internally rotate. I can't even straighten my arms because the position of the skeleton is blocking me and it's very pinchy here. So if we don't think about it, the same thing can happen in your dog. So I'm going to set my hands, roll my shoulders open, and when I start to get upside down, I'm still consciously swiveling the shoulders apart so the neck is free. One thing you'll hear me say is broad, deep armpits, hollow armpits. You're creating loads of space as you broaden out the shoulders. Watch what happens if I internally rotate. If I deactivate and I kind of hang here, it's like, yeah, I'm upside down. I'm not using half of the muscular effort pinching into my neck. And if I just freeze frame that, come up, this is what I'm doing. Like, it's not a great pattern to set. So, externally rotate the shoulders, plug in the knuckles, your wrists will thank you, your neck will thank you, your elbows will thank you. When we first get to know downward dog, obviously it's a great hamstring stretch. But bend the knees. You'll still get a great hamstring stretch. A lot of times we look for straight lines right away. If we think about anatomy first, alignment second, so just like you can select your hand position, you can adjust what's going on with the legs. So anatomy first. So got my hands, got my shoulders, nice long spine. I'm going to bend my knees, pull my pelvis nice and long so that my core is elongated and spacious. I got loads of space to breathe. This is going to be much more comfortable spending time here, taking your body weight through the shoulders. Then we can start to play around with the legs. Then maybe my legs get straighter. Then maybe my heels hit the floor. But I haven't really warmed up yet. My heels are about 1 millimeter from the ground, and I'm going to stay happy with that because if I force straight legs, it'll tend to curl my hips under, and now notice how scrunched I am in the spine. That curl in the spine is going to roll my shoulders back into my neck. So it's just a chain reaction of poor action and less benefit. So I'm going to roll my shoulders open, I'm going to bend my knees, get my spine super long, and then start to play with longer legs. And trust me, you'll still get a fabulous hamstring stretch here. Your heels will get closer to the floor. If they hit, great. If they don't, great. But this is a conversation to open up over time. Different schools will have different intentions with their downward dog. So our intention is to build strong structure in the shoulders, lengthen the spine, and then lengthen up the hamstrings and the calves in that order. Your foot placement wants to be neutral. So as you take your downward dog, setting up the hands, shoulders, long spine, I'm going to take my feet hip width. I go hip socket width. If you're super tight, you could take a wider stance. If you've got rugby hips or some injury going on with your hips, feel free to go wider with the heels. But make sure that they're neutral. A nice way to check whether the legs are, so if they're kind of frogging in, it's not neutral. If it's kind of pigeon-toed, not neutral. You don't want to be able to see your heels. You want to see that the crease of the skin on the front of your ankles, where it folds here, you want to see that that's pretty horizontal. The symmetry of the fold in the skin is running evenly through the ankle. And that's true as well for your hand placement. If I roll forward into a plank, I'm going to check the crease in the fold of the skin of my wrist and see if that's rolling pretty neutral through the wrist or if there's some extreme asymmetry. Yeah, it's just a nice little way to find what works for your body. So there you have it, downward dog. If you have any more refined questions, any specifics, let me know and I'll be happy to get back to you or make another video answering them. And we'll see you in the next video.